Let's Get Down to Business is presented by Bravo, the marketing arm of Ash Brokerage Corporation, the practice enhancement company. All this week, it's long-term care linked products. And on today's show, understanding LTC linked products as an asset. And with me today is nationally recognized LTC linked expert, Bradley Gayhart. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show again, Bradley.
Yeah.
Day 3. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
Well, I want to talk this about an asset because people like to go to their balance sheet. They like their net worth. They like to view numbers on a debit and credit side, asset liability. And I like the idea of approaching our CPA community, our tax attorneys, our trust officers at banks, the fiduciary market. I like talking to them about this product with these terms. A asset, a living benefit that is an asset on my balance sheet. I think that actually makes people understand it better, and they like the option, if I use this, hey, I have a leverage like we talked about yesterday. And again, when I'm sitting here on Wednesday's show, Steve, what are you talking about? Well, you need to go back to watch our show on Monday and Tuesday, kind of get a better learning curve experience, because once you watch those two shows, today's show will make total sense. So just for your learning curve experience, I just recommend you watch Monday and Tuesday before you watch today. Let's talk about the monetary value and the guaranteed liquidity. Now, every time I use the word guarantee, compliance is going to say, what do you mean by that? So tell me, what do you mean by that?
Well, guaranteed liquidity is written into these contracts. It's the availability to get your dollars back at any time. Some contracts might have a small surrender. Others guarantee your base premium can come back at any time in full value. So the beauty of that is the availability of that client, that $100,000 they put in or $200,000 to go in and grab those dollars back at any time. So this product, although it is not cash, it can work very similarly to cash.
Okay, but let's say I don't have an event. I'm one of the minority, and I don't have an event.
Okay.
And I have mine in either it's an annuity with an LTC link product or a life insurance policy with an LTC link benefit. I could use this also then as a generation wealth transfer idea.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that, because that to me brings on a whole nother realm. We're not only talking about balance sheet issue, an asset issue, now we're talking about, hey, there's a way to leverage this and hand this to the next generation.
Well, one of the most common thing, or the thing that's built into this contract, I should say, is a guaranteed death benefit. Mm-hmm. So we know what the guaranteed death benefit is going to be in these contracts the moment that we put it in force.
Now, could it be more under current company? Or is it the guarantee is the guarantee?
No, a lot of times what happens is if we're using a UL-based product, since the mortality cost today is less than it is down the road when an event might happen, the death benefit starts out high and then works its way down to that guaranteed value. In retrospect, a few of these contracts are whole life. So when it's a whole life contract, it starts out at that guaranteed level and then over time might gradually grow as the dividends start crediting into that policy and in the way that we design it. So the death benefit could be increasing if we use a whole life contract, albeit at a very small rate, or it could be decreasing down to that guaranteed level if we use a UL-based contract.
All right, so if I'm sitting there saying, okay, I really watch my health, my diet, I have good family history and their health as well. Everybody's living into their 90s in my family. I think I'm going to be okay. If I don't use my benefits, this could be a tactical transfer issue to the next generation, or to maybe I could skip one and go to the grandkids.
Absolutely.
So do you see people looking at this as this kind of pivot position going to generation wealth transfer? Because I like that's an extra added bonus when you're thinking about it.
I think it's something that people have in the back of their mind as I'm never going to use this. But I think in the front of a lot of folks' mind, with all of the chatter in the news and the content that you can derive on the web, they're starting to understand that 1 in 2 people that reach the age of 65 are going to need some sort of care during their lifetime. And I think they realize, well, at least I have some care in place in case I do have that catastrophic event. So while wealth transfer is something that's available to them, I think in the front of mind, they're still thinking there is a possibility. Whereas 5 years ago, you talk to that same individual, they would say, I'm never going into a home. I'm never going to need care. I'm going to pass away in my sleep.
I said that myself, and now I've graduated to, okay, assisted living at home. Okay, assisted living at home. Now I'm looking at viable IRRs that are unmatched with other liquidity and guaranteed investments that we may have in our portfolio. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that is another play to kind of look at this again. We're talking about it as an asset.
Well, yeah, and the linked benefit, the real beauty of the linked benefit is the leverage. And when we talk about leverage, we're talking about internal rate of return, whether it be on a death benefit or whether it be on a long-term care event. So on a death benefit, a lot of times I'll run out and we'll show the individual what their internal rate of return would be from current assumption if they were to die or pass away, I should say, at age, say, 85. And maybe it's 2 or 3%, but that's tax-free dollars. So if they had an investment in current dollars where they were putting $100,000 in, they might have to average a cumulative return of 2% on an annual basis.
Maybe after tax.
After tax.
Right.
Yeah, so that could be very steep on, we're talking about liquid dollars. So CD investment
In a couple weeks from now, we're going to have Bob Ritter on, of course, the Mr. Invention of Insmark and Wealthy and Wise software, one of the top advisory softwares, and that guy's been around for over 50 years in our business. Unbelievable. He ran specs on long-term care and why you actually make money off this if you look at the net results, some of the things that we're talking about right now. And if you use his product, especially if you're an advisor, and use Insmark, this proves it. Time and again, it throws the data on it, it does the math for you, it is logic, it is really rational thinking, and we'll show you that again. A couple weeks from now, Bob's going to be on our show. You won't want to miss it, because he actually proves the points that we're talking about from a mathematical point of view. When we come back from the break, we're going to debate whether high net worth clients really do prefer LTC products, and if they do, I want to know why. And don't forget, you can request your long-term care manual from Backroom Technician right at our site, downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com, or just sign up for your own 30-day free trial offer for Backroom Technician right on their site, brtnow.com/trial-signup.aspx. We'll be right back after the break. Back in the day, life insurance professionals were called field underwriters. Then, carriers trained their field force in the basics of life insurance underwriting. Today, the insurance industry doesn't educate the agent population as they once did. But now you can have the Informed Risk Guide at your fingertips so you can illustrate a reasonable rate class for your life insurance prospects. Just request your copy of the Informed Risk Guide at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. It's free from Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back. I'm Steve Savant with Bradley Gayhart. And remember, you can watch all our episodes of Let's Get Down to Business, including my weekly consumer show, Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game, right out at ashbrokerage.com. As soon as you hit the show logo, it'll take you right out to our homepage. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas on the show, always consult your tax advisor and legal counsel, because we're talking a little bit of tax today, as well as your broker-dealer compliance officer, because we're talking about assets. So let's get down to business. We're talking, there's a debate out there. I would have thought that higher net worth people would say, forget the LTC linked benefits and everything. I have my investments over here. I have my insurance over here. I buy standalone products. I don't do this. But then I saw some of the stats that you were talking about and you say, oh, contraire, Steve Savant, they prefer linked benefits. Now that shocked me.
Yeah, well, it boils down to leverage. It boils down to liquidity and asset. Earlier this year for Ash, I did a piece called Using a Linked Benefit as a Portfolio Hedge. And really what that discusses is how to hedge the portfolio income due to loss of a long-term care event down the line. And it's using the cash in that portfolio and pulling the cash out to get a better internal rate of return in the event of a long-term care event or for death benefit, possibly.
Do we have the capacity to send advisors that? Do we have a workup?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's already available. It should be online.
Okay, perfect. Because I mentioned last time, if you don't have Insmark's Wealthy and Wise, this could be your punt position, because this will show you, you're talking about, really bringing down the overall beta risk of an investment portfolio.
Absolutely. And it'll show you really or an advisor how to construct that conversation and use that as part of their modern portfolio theory.
Do you have basic examples of this?
Absolutely.
Okay, remember, I wasn't going to do this on the show, but let's just do it. If you want this, just go ahead and write me, steve.savant@ashbrokerage.com, and we'll make sure Bradley will push you over to Bradley on that, and he'll go ahead and show you some of these examples. I think that, to me, is a great testing area to really say, okay, I'm going to do the math on what you just said, and let's go ahead and take a portfolio and generate that. And that sounds pretty exciting. I have to say, I want to be able to use this as a hedge, as a protection to my portfolio. Now, when I'm talking about this, and we were talking about internal rate of return as it is with the death benefit proceeds, or the internal rate of return as it relates to an annuity income rider paying out. But sometimes when I'm looking at the leverage, I've never really we've done a leverage issue. Oh, for every dollar you put in, the LTC is going to generate 4, maybe 5 times that benefit. But the actual rate of return, depending upon what the timeline is, right? I mean, we're looking at some numbers here, aren't we?
It could be huge. Yeah, I mean, if you look at a 60-year-old female and she were to have an event within 10 years, you're looking at a rate of return around 15%, cumulative. So we're putting guaranteed dollars in here that has a guaranteed benefit available to a client. And when we start talking about guarantees, 14.5%, 13% at a guaranteed clip, that would be almost impossible in an investment portfolio on a guaranteed basis. And that's really where we're taking this, and really why it's important to understand that we're really hedging that investment portfolio, because what we're doing is we're allowing them time to rebalance that portfolio if an event happened. We can buy up to 6 years of coverage.
Yeah.
So the beauty here is that leverage to add additional time to that modern portfolio theory, which is one of the main drivers of that theory.
When you talk about that number, you threw out there at 15%. That would seem like pretty big. Was that not including taxes? We're just talking about the return.
We're talking about the return of on a long-term care event, what you would receive over that 6-year period, and that comes out at tax-free rates.
Well, I'm thinking, remember, income always dickers with your Social Security benefits and whether they get taxed or not. This is another little play to keep stuff away from Social Security inclusion in the provisional income test. That could be another piece of leverage in economic. I wish we had time to talk about it today. We don't. I want to talk about this issue of, when we talk about no loss of money during premature death. I like this kind of at the front end, I'm going to die according to the tables. I just saw the 2001 CSO. I saw the VBT tables from the Society of Actuaries the other day, putting me out at my relative risk, saying Steve Savant's going down at about 88. I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. But when I'm looking at that, what if I don't do that? There's an old proverb somewhere in the old manuscripts that says, it is appointed for every man to die and then the judgment, right? Yeah. Well, what if I come early and I don't hit the actual numbers? Talk about the premature issue, because I'm worried about, what happens? Do I have a loss of money when that occurs?
No, you actually have an increase and a wealth transfer that would happen on a tax-free basis. So since these linked benefits do have a guaranteed death benefit stated in them, depending on the type of contract we use, if we were to experience a premature death, we would actually receive higher than the stated guaranteed death benefit on a UL contract. Or if we had a whole life contract, we would receive that same death benefit tax-free, but it would be more than the premium dollars you put in.
When I look at, let's say I'm sold on what you're saying, and let's say I insert it into my portfolio because I love the hedging issues, I love the leverage and the economic viability. How do I do care coordination and management with all this?
Well, a lot of the policies have that care coordination built into them. They have access to care coordinators that can help you develop a plan. One of the things that I've always run in.
Well, let me stop you there. So you actually have, as part of the deal of the contract, you can call these guys up and have people assist you doing this?
Yeah, they can help you put together a plan of care. Vet nursing homes, vet home health care agencies, because let's face it, a lot of folks don't have experience in this.
And we do that, and that costs the client how much?
It can cost them nothing, or it can be taken out of that daily benefit that they receive.
Well, to me, that's huge. Well, that's our show for today. Good show, by the way. Remember, you can read all my online insurance news, commentary, advisor blogs, and articles on Producer's Web, as well as my answers to consumer questions on the Insurance Library. And don't forget, you can watch and view all our past episodes right on the on-demand video section at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. So don't forget, Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or just email me, steve.savant@ashbrokers.com. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Broker.